Hey everyone, Blake here. I am the host of the Fasting Lifestyle podcast. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Now, I am also a health coach. So I wanted to announce that my community fasting academy is live and up and running. It's a weekly group coaching class to overhaul your lifestyle and feel the best you've ever felt with the power of fasting, whole foods, and group accountability. And for right now, I am offering your first month free. So just click the link in the description box below to get started and stay tuned for the show. What's up, everyone? Blake here. Welcome back to another episode of the Fasting Lifestyle Podcast. I have another amazing guest for you guys today. We have Dr. Isabella. She is a PhD in educational psychology, and she specializes in hypnotherapy, NLP, and many more things. We're going to dive into all of that today. But first and foremost, Isabella, thank you so much for being here. Huge blessing to have you on the show. And how's it going for you today?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good too, and it was so cool chatting with you before the show. This has been a long time coming since we were at the Texas Fruit Festival together, and it was just so cool to network with you. And here we are now on this podcast. And I know that you have an amazing origin story as to what led you into wanting to become a healer. So I thought that we could start there and then let the conversation unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this was a number of years ago, and I started to my health. There was something going on with my health. I felt like I was just carrying a lot emotionally, and I wanted to heal. But I wanted to do it in a holistic way. And so I started looking for holistic practitioners, and I lived in a small town at that time. And so I found a Reiki master, and I thought, this really resonates with me. I'm going to give it a shot. I've never had a Reiki healing. I don't even know what this is, but I just jumped right in, reached out, started healing with her, started seeing progress. Of course, I cleaned up my diet as well. Um, at the time, um, I was eating, I was eating clean, I was eating well, but clearly it wasn't good enough. So I had to make some shifts. So with cleaning up my diet, changing my diet, and also getting weekly healings from this practitioner, I started to improve. I started to get better, and that really spiked my curiosity. And I thought, this is really neat. This is amazing. How does this work? So I enrolled in her year-long class. Maybe it was like 13 or 16 months, something like that. I enrolled in her class and I became Reiki certified. I became a certified Reiki master. And I loved the program because it was very comprehensive. It wasn't just Reiki healing, there was nutrition, there was anatomy, there was herbs, oils. It was a very comprehensive course where you're looking at the entire person, not just doing energy work. And so that's where it started. At the time I was in the education world, and so I was working on my PhD at the time. And so I was kind of doing this part time, offering people healing sessions. I was doing it for free while getting my PhD and, had my own job. And so then one thing led to another. I start my little business, part time Reiki business. I love it. And then I think, okay, so let's go ahead and work with the mind also, work with the subconscious mind, because research shows that 95% of how we move, even what we wear, is all connected to the subconscious mind. And so then I got certified in hypnotherapy. I've integrated that into my practice. And now I offer NLP, hypnotherapy, Reiki healing, pet Reiki, and many times I will wrap all three into a single session.
Hey everyone, hope you're enjoying the podcast. I wanted to interrupt real quick just to let you know that I just published my new book. It's called The Fasting Guidebook. You can get your copy for free via the link below at my website, fasting.lifestyle. Just enter your name and email address and you can unsubscribe anytime. Also want to let you know that my community, Fasting Academy, is up and running. We are live. So if you wanted to take your fasting practice deeper and employ some of these amazing practices and changes into your lifestyle, then go ahead and check that out. For the first 100 members of the community, it's going to be at a discounted rate. So help me fill those spots and get a super good price on my community. And without further ado, let me let you get back to the podcast and I will check in soon. That's incredible. And so I'm super curious, like when you found the Reiki healer, and then you started to see improvements. How long did that take, and what sort of improvements did you see happening? And do you attribute that to directly to the Reiki? And like, how does that healing mechanism work?
Mm, well, how long did it take? I would say to really, really see results, it took about 3 months. I went to her for a
Yeah.
full year, every
Mm.
week, mostly for a full year. And it was about the 3 month mark that I started to see results. But also, I was eating well and I was
Oh.
moving my body and I was being more intentional. Even when I ate, I was being intentional. I wasn't eating in front of the TV. I was sitting down with my food and just really expressing gratitude and just ta chewing, right? Slowing down my chewing because I had some digestive issues. I couldn't anytime I ate, I was like burping and belching for hours and hours and hours, like all day long, all night long. And so even just sitting with my food, expressing gratitude and slowly eating and just being in the present moment. And so I think it was a combination of things that helped me heal.
Mm.
But yeah, about 3 months. And now, because, 3 months for some people may feel reasonable, but for some people, especially this day and age, 3 months is a very long time. Like, oh my gosh, I have to wait 3 months to heal, 3 months to begin to see results. And a lot of people get really impatient. So that's the reason why I integrated hypnotherapy and NLP into my practice
Mm.
because the healing comes much faster. The changes come much faster because you're working directly with the subconscious mind, which controls 95% of your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, etc.
Okay, cool. And so it was the Reiki, it was a combination of your lifestyle changes and then 3 months, which by the way, for me, like that's not like an exorbitant amount of time to expect your body to make these drastic healing like you experienced. And so that's so cool that you seeked and you searched and you found a methodology that worked for you and you started to combine methodologies to really not only speed up the results but to make the results like more deep and long lasting for your clients. And Reiki, as far as I understand it, it's like energy healing with the hands, but that's my very basic understanding. Could you like tell me deeper of how like Reiki actually works? I've been wanting to understand this better for like a really long
Oh
time.
my gosh, no. Hey, same. Same here. I don't to be honest, I don't understand the mechanics. I don't
Oh,
understand how it works, but it's a transferring of energy. It's setting the intention. So quantum physics shows that we're all
mm,
energy, right? We're all energy. We're all electric. If we end up in the hospital and our heart gives out, what do? They grab a machine and they pump us and they electronically charge us. And so it's the same concept where we're accessing energy and transferring it from our body to your body.
Okay, so it's kind of like an
Simply
energetic.
put.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I'm familiar with some of the other quantum healing type of methodologies as well. And there's not like a nuts and bolts way to understand it or to describe it. It's just it's energy, and you have to understand that we are at a quantum level. We are energy. We're just vibration and frequency at a certain level that we have density. But as you like, for example, water. As you increase the temperature or increase the vibration and frequency of water, it soon starts to boil, and then it becomes water vapor. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's
that's
a transfer of energy, just like when we grab our phone and it's low in battery, we grab the charger and we plug it in. And so there's
mm,
energy transferring, it's sharing, it's replenishing. That's the simplest, is the super simple explanation. But how it actually works, the mechanics, the science, the quantum behind it,
right.
I, I think I don't know, or I don't have words to express it. But it's energy. It's just energy transference. It's it's gentle and it's real.
It is real. It's energy with an intention behind it that kind of charges it up from what I understand. And I think some Reiki healers or just people that claim to be able to just kind of heal with the power of intention
Mhm.
can even do this remotely. They can do it across the world. And then some people or some information that I've seen, you can almost bend time with it. You can heal in the past, heal in the future.
Yes.
And so, like, when once you get down to that energetic, whether we call it prana, chi, life force, a lot of these words get tossed around. Just call it energy. You could call it ether. Then the rules of standard physics don't really apply. And so I think that's what's really cool about it is it helps you to open your mind to new possibilities that weren't maybe weren't shown to us growing up. But then once you start opening your mind to these new possibilities of Reiki and some of your other strategies and methodologies, I think it opens up so many new other possibilities in your life. You start to really believe in the power of energy. So I think that that's so cool. And you said that, as you were going through school and earning your PhD and building your practice up, that you also started to combine a couple other methodologies in addition to the Reiki. So I want to talk about those as
Sure.
well. Starting with NLP. I know that that's something that I think like Tony Robbins uses NLP. Like there's a kind of like a lot of it's kind of like a I don't know, like a hotly contended subject. Like some people think it's good, some people think it's bad. I think that again, it's just the energy behind it and the intention behind it. You could use it maybe for good or maybe for evil. I don't know, but that's again, like I'm not an expert on it, so I want to hear your take on what is NLP and how you use it.
Sure. So, neuro-linguistic programming. So, neuro is the brain, linguistic, language, and then programming, working with the mind, working with the conscious and subconscious mind. And NLP is such a huge umbrella, and we all actually use it in our daily lives without realizing it. So, an example is, for instance, when I taught, we we were telling the kids, don't run, don't run, don't run, and what they were hearing was run, because the subconscious mind doesn't really understand negatives. And so in NLP you don't say don't run, because what the mind hears, what the subconscious hears, is run. If you say to someone, "Don't talk to me," don't, like the kids would say, "Don't talk to me, don't talk to me." Well, what were the kids hearing? Talk to me," right? So
Exactly.
then we went from saying, "Don't run," to please walk.
Nice.
And it's a completely different message. Don't run, walk. So that's NLP simplified. And so we're using it every day. It's used in business. Um, and yes, there is some controversy with NLP. When I tell people that I use NLP in my practice, they're like, oh, yeah, no, I don't believe in that. That's manipulative. Um,
Right.
but it is actually, it is manipulative, but you're manipulating the brain so that it can help, so that your body can help you heal. So it's using words, and it's using really accessing the five senses to help you release emotions and to help you reframe an experience. So in my case, NLP for healing, what NLP is like I said, using the five senses so that the body can be fully present. Because when you are fully present in your body, then you can move with more intention. And when you're present with your feelings and your emotions, and you don't judge them and you just observe them, you're more likely to be able to let them go. And you're more likely to be able to reframe experiences because your nervous system suddenly goes from like, oh, all over the place to here I am. And when we're fully present and grounded, then our nervous system feels, oh, I'm safe. All is well. I don't have to run. I don't have to run from that lion, right?
Oh, exactly, and it's the nervous system, it's the how the nervous system interplays with the brain and the thoughts, and people talk about, like, they have the monkey mind going on. Well, maybe
Yes.
it's because their nervous system's in a sympathetic mode, and so they feel like they're in fight or flight mode, like they have to run from that lion, and so their thoughts are kinda going crazy. Maybe it's because they are over caffeinated or something. I don't know. That's one of my
That can
former
be.
things. Maybe like it's just stress or sleep or anything in the common age, 2026. And,
Mhm.
and then so just to be present and calm down, get your five senses kind of like on the team, so to speak, and then you can create separation from that more manic type of mode and then observe the situation that you're dealing with, whether it's emotions or whatever, past traumas, and then start to reframe it. I think that's awesome. That's something that it's a recurring theme with a lot of my guests and with myself as a former yoga instructor, personal trainer, is just calming down, being in the parasympathetic mode, and then being the observer, not like identifying like I am my trauma or whatever. And I think that's where the NLP comes into play. And I, my younger sister, well, both my sisters are younger, but my youngest sister is a school teacher as well. So I'm really curious to see if she uses please walk instead of don't run. I'm gonna
Right?
ask that. Uh,
Yeah, language matters. So with NLP, we're not revisiting, we're working through releasing emotions, trauma, events, and we don't talk about the event, we don't revisit it. It's just we allow the body, use language to allow the body to release it from wherever it may be trapped. Clearly,
right.
it's trapped in the subconscious, and the body is also part of the subconscious. And so, guiding the client through releasing whatever it is that they're ready to release. And so, really, they're the ones that are healing themselves. They're the ones that are doing the work. I'm just there guiding.
Guiding them. And then does that kind of like teach your patients as well at the same time to like maybe think of things and reframe things with that positive tilt to the language rather than the negative
Absolutely.
tilt?
Absolutely. Yes, because it's training the mind, right? It's
Mm,
training the mind to reframe experiences.
mm.
And so usually after a session, not usually, always, after a session, they have action steps. And they're research based action steps. And so one of the things that I require them to do, ask them to do, just want to be gentle. And some won't do it, and that's okay because they're still going to benefit from the session. They still benefit from the session. Is one thing I tell them, the very first thing is, okay, so look for shifts, look for positive shifts in your life, and especially the small shifts, and really
Mm.
look out for them, observe them, and celebrate them. Because the more you do that, the more your nervous system will think, oh, I'm safe. I'm okay. Oh, things are shifting. Things can change. Things can get better. And by doing that, you're quite literally reprogramming your mind. You're creating new neural pathways. And
Oh,
so for me, that's very important. That's a uber important part of my practice, that they have the tools at post session, and that they continue to use the tools because we don't have an endless amount of time to see a hypnotherapist or an NLP practitioner. Like, I want them to see me for a short amount of time and then move on with their lives and spend their money on something else, vacations. So yes, there's so many things that people can do after to continue to reprogram their own minds and continue to reframe experiences. And with NLP and hypnotherapy, we reframe at a subconscious level so that finally the nervous system can say, oh, I can let this go. I don't have to hold on to it. What I thought was protecting me is actually keeping me from living a more abundant life. So now I can let it go.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. And I just want to really applaud you for the fact that you want to heal people, quote unquote, not to like use that term in a medical sense, but you want to like get them to where they can manage it on themselves and so that they can move on with the rest of their lives.
Yes.
And when I was a personal trainer, that was me too. I was like, I don't want this to become like a paid friendship. I want to teach you how to manage your lifestyle and, get you in a good place so that you can, go run with the wind on and, do your own thing. Whereas a lot of other people in my industry were kind of stringing people along just to keep the
Mm,
paycheck rolling in and stuff like that. So I would always tell my clients, I'm here to work myself out of a job. And so,
yes.
but then,
Yes. Yes.
and
I
so I'm
agree
glad we're
with
on the same
you. I
page
agree
about
with you.
that.
People are sacred. Money is sacred. Time is sacred. And the ethical thing to do is you hold space for somebody to do their own healing because they're the ones that are healing their body. Even with, training, right? They're the ones that are doing the work and you're just guiding them. And then they have the tools and then they can go on in their beautiful, merry way. I know that's what I would like if I was working with somebody. I wouldn't want to depend on somebody for a prolonged period of time. I'd want to have autonomy. I'd want to feel empowered.
Yeah. And that's so cool that we share that in common. I think that's a common thing amongst a lot of the guests that I'm really, really super blessed to have on the show.
Mm,
Just it's kind of like an ethical thing and treat others the way that you want to be treated.
absolutely.
And the NLP, Isabella, like this is so cool. I'm gonna definitely nerd out. There's a couple people I follow who are NLP kind of like quote unquote experts.
Right.
Um, and I'm really interested in just kind of that whole reframing thing. And so I just want to touch on that briefly before we go into hypnotherapy. Because now that I think you're going to be like in somewhere in the episode 30s or something like that. So my podcast is young, but I mean, I've had a lot of success early on. I'm super blessed and super pleased how it's going. And it's just fun. And so it's now to the point to where like some of my guests, they want to interview me on their channel. And so now like I'm telling my story, right? And then I get to tell my story again like a week later or something like that. So I'm retelling my story. And, one of my friends who's been on the show, his name is Stephen Garner. He was talking about reframing and
Mhm.
how important that is. So I started telling my story in a more empowering fashion. I realized that when I first started telling my story, there was like little language things where it was maybe coming out of like a victim mentality or something like that. And then now I've completely changed how I tell my story to where it's like maybe it's not perfect, but it's in a completely empowering fashion that everything happened for a reason. I was divinely guided the whole time. These things all made me a better, stronger, truer version of myself, and so on and so forth. And so how would NLP and reframing like just change somebody's life? Because it's already changing my life like dramatically, and I can't wait to like add the NLP flair into it as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it affects what you manifest too. When you tune your mind to that
Oh.
positive thing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, it's manifestation. And there's a part of the brain called the reticular activation system. And that is responsible for scanning more of what we are thinking about.
I love
Right?
that.
So it's not just manifestation. It's not just this woo woo stuff manifesting. No, there's an actual part
Right.
of the brain that is responsible for scanning more of what we are looking for. Right? Just like,
Yeah.
oh, if you spot, a red car and you're looking for red cars, well, you're going to see red cars everywhere. That's just an example I know I hear over and over again.
Mhm.
And so, no, it's an actual part of the brain, it's an actual function, and we want to use that to our advantage. We definitely want to use that to our advantage so that we can manifest more of what we want, more of what we deserve. So here's an example going back to reframing and NLP. A number of months back, I don't know, I was scrolling through either Facebook or Instagram, and I saw a post that said, my, it started thundering and my grandson started to cry. And I said to him, "Hey, it's okay. It's just the sky farting." And so the kid was like, "Oh my gosh." So he started laughing immediately, right? And so that's an example of reframing. Here's this
Oh,
child
okay.
who hears this thunderstorm, is scared because it is
Uh,
scary. And the grandmother, just like that, reframed the experience for him. And it went from something scary and unknown and threatening to something funny. So from that day forward, this child, every time he hears a thunderstorm, he's going to laugh because in his mind, that's the sky farting, right? Just like that, it's instant. And so, with this work that I do with hypnotherapy and NLP, even though someone is went through something really traumatic or is going through something really traumatic, just like that, somehow we're able to reframe the experience and go from threatening, dark, scary, dysregulating to, oh, I'm safe. I'm fine. And so, a personal example for me for reframing something super simple is going grocery shopping. For me, used to be, oh my gosh, I dreaded it. I hated it. And I literally used to start my timer, like when I used a watch timer or my phone, and I'd set my timer 5 minutes. I just hustle, 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 and like walk out, right? It's like, okay, I have 5 minutes. I'm going to do this. I can't stand being in here. I don't like it. And so I would complain. In my mind, I'd complain. I hate this. Da, 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 da. I don't like it. Da, da, da. And I thought, okay, this is not okay. And the more I did that, the more I practiced that, the more I reinforced it, and the worse it got. Right? Because
mm,
I'm strengthening those neural pathways that say, oh, this is horrible. Poor
right.
you. And so I thought, I need to change this experience. And so then I started saying, I get to, right? I get to. I don't know where I heard that phrase from. I don't know who I need to credit, but I get to. And so every time, okay, I'm going grocery shopping and get in my car, I get to go grocery shopping. There's so many people in this world that don't have that privilege of having the money to go grocery shopping, of having a car. having arms, even having eyesight to drive themselves to the grocery store to buy groceries. And so I started saying, I get to, I get to, I get to. And now it's like I go to the grocery store and sometimes I'm in there for like 45 minutes. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm like strolling, looking at stuff like I'm window shopping and I'm having a good time. With time, it took just a number of months to rewire my brain where, somehow my brain was was receiving grocery shopping as threatening. It's so silly. So silly. But that's just another example of reframe and the way we can reframe every single experience and reprogram our mind and really go back into gratitude.
Yeah, that's a really good example. I was just at the grocery store before our show, and I had kind of a similar sort of feeling,
Mhm.
and I'm definitely going to use that. My thought was like, maybe I'll wear earbuds next time that I go to the grocery store. But, not that that's a bad solution or anything like that, but you're using the power of language and the power of our thoughts. And then now it's not just that, um, like how your timer on your phone, that's kind of what the earbuds would be. It's almost reinforcing the fact that it's creating that tension between you and the situation. Whereas reframing,
Mhm.
now you're getting into the subconscious, and you've turned it into a joyful experience where you just get to go to, whatever grocery store. I forgot the name of the one in Texas, but I liked it. The ones here
HEB?
are Publix. Yeah, yeah. Say it
Um,
again.
HEB?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
HEB.
Yeah,
They had
we
some good
love our
produce.
HEBs. Yeah.
Oh, man. Even though we were at the Texas Fruit Festival and they had a bunch of amazing produce, I stocked up a little bit for my hotel room at HEB.
Yeah.
So cool. That's a okay, because then now you're really starting to stand in your power and stand in your gratitude and believe in yourself. And it reframes your whole entire situation. And then that vibe, like what if you had to, this is just a random example that's coming to mind because I'm single or whatever. It's like, what if I had to run another errand after the grocery store, and now I'm in a joyful, like, man, that was just such a cool experience. And then at my next thing, like there's a potential person that I could meet and strike up a conversation. And yet now I'm in a good light mood and we have a great conversation. Or if I'm like, oh man, I'm never going grocery shopping again. And then like I miss this opportunity to talk to, somebody who it might be a good relationship or something like that. So it's like, I think it starts to drip into other areas of your life, like we've been talking about, just in such a powerful and profound way. So I love that exercise that you have your clients do where they just notice those little small changes. And the other one for me was like the manifestations. It's almost like I have to be careful what I think and careful what I watch because it starts to become so powerful and instantaneous. And it's almost like so yeah, it's just like more power, more responsibility, and more awareness.
Exactly. Yeah. So it goes to show that we are really powerful, powerful creatures. We are so powerful and there's magic all around us. When I work with clients and we do a single NLP session or hypno NLP and we desensitize a traumatic event that they had 15, 20 years ago that is still affecting their bodies. And just like that, they're able to let it go and report back and say, well, I don't feel anything anymore. I know that it happened. I know it was there. I know how it used to affect me and my nervous system, but it's gone. It's gone because they literally pushed it away. And what they took from it was the wisdom and the learnings. And so that's one thing that when I work with the subconscious mind, we'll ask us some so the conscious and subconscious mind. What is the learning lesson that you took from this? What's the wisdom you can take from this? Right. And so at that moment, when you're able to process through that and verbalize it, your body hears it, your mind hears it, and you're able to take the learning lesson and the wisdom and let go of the emotions that you were holding on to, the negative stuff. And that does make more room for what we want. And people, it's really interesting because since we use the five senses for NLP, I'll ask questions like, where in your body do you feel it? And so they'll access a body part, let's say the upper chest or the throat. Okay. And so it sounds weird, and it sounds like, okay, what are you doing here? But it works. Okay. It just works. What color is it? Because you're really in tune with, you're really present, you're using the five senses. What color is it? What shape is it? And does it move? And somehow that helps the psyche process, that helps the subconscious mind really process through things to be able to let them go. And then finally, after we sit with it and we're curious about it, we don't dissect the feelings to death. We don't do any of that because we don't want to re-trigger. And then after they report quite literally feeling it lift, and they send it away. They sent the emotion away. And then they report, if they report, it feels like an indentation. It feels like a void, like there's a hole where that used to be. And they
Mm.
literally feel it. And so I find that very interesting. Now, I do NLP too. I have somebody do NLP and hypnotherapy for me because I would never offer something that I haven't tried myself. Um, and I've only experienced that one time where it feels like, oh, yeah, I can feel like a hole in there or something. But it's interesting. And so, and then you get to replace it. Well, now that that's gone, now that that anger is gone or that grief is gone, what do you want to replace it with?
Mm.
And so it's, love or understanding or self-compassion. And for some people, it may seem, well, that's weird. That doesn't make sense. That's not real. That's not backed by science. But the reticular activation system that is responsible for finding more of what you want, you will find it. So if it's self-compassion, if it's love, if it's abundance, you will find it because you've activated the reticular activation system that's responsible for looking and finding it. Not just looking for it, but finding it.
That's incredible. I love the reticular activation system. I'm gonna have to geek out on that as well. You're giving
Yes.
me some homework here. I'm very happy about this. I actually like homework. And
Yeah.
that was NLP right there, by the way, because I was almost gonna say I don't like homework, but I reframed it positively and I
Yes.
work. So
That's a good point. I used to call it homework, and sometimes I still do because I'm programmed that way. But I
yeah,
shifted it, and I had a client, actually it was a client, it wasn't me. A client said, when you call it homework, it just makes me not want to do it. Like, nobody likes homework. And I'm like, you know
right.
what? You're right. You're right. I'm going to call it something else. There's a reframe. And so
Yep.
we discussed it, and I said, what about action steps? How does that feel in your body? It's like, oh, action steps. Yeah. Yeah, that feels better. That feels better. And so there's a reframe. Your body relaxes, your nervous system relaxes. You don't see it as a threat. You don't think back. Your subconscious doesn't think back on all the times you had to do homework when you were a kid and you absolutely hated it, because the body and the mind are always making connections, right? And so we're reframing it. Oh, they're just action steps. Um, I, one of my clients recently, we were talking about her action steps post session. I made a suggestion. I said, well, um, how about offering a compliment? And she said, well, I don't want to do that. That didn't feel right. It didn't resonate. It didn't feel like it would be authentic. And I said, okay, well, good. Thank you for the feedback. If it doesn't feel authentic, don't do it. Um, mm, and I said, well, how about if we reframe it? What if we move on from, instead of calling it a compliment, we'll call it an acknowledgement. You're not going to compliment the person on XYZ, but how about acknowledging them? And she's like, yeah, I like that. I can acknowledge this individual, but I can't compliment them. I'm not there yet. And so then we were able to move forward instead of like this resistance of like, I'm not complimenting. Okay,
Right.
how about an acknowledgement? And so there we go, another reframe experience.
I think the reframing is brilliant, especially understanding the reticular activation system and how that actually works. And then when you combine some of the knowledge of some of these other practices, like the intention setting behind Reiki and letting the energy flow through you, and then like you were mentioning with the phenomenon of feeling almost like a lightness where they've let things go during an NLP session, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, that's going to allow more energy to flow through you. And in my journey, that's what I was mentioning earlier. It's like, man, your manifestations just come in so quickly. And I think that's because you start to clean out your body, clean out your subconscious, and more energy is flowing through you. And to your point, we are powerful beings. I think that's our natural state.
Mhm.
And the
Yes.
subconscious is just it's just such a vast, we've all seen like the iceberg poster where the subconscious is like the huge chunk of ice below the water, and then our conscious is just the little piece of the iceberg on the top. And so I think that, um, you know, Reiki, NLP, super, super powerful, amazing healing methodologies. And I appreciate you being here and educating me on the NLP, and especially because I'm definitely going to be thinking about that, and kind of listening to my thoughts, listening to my speech, and
Mhm.
just keep working on that reframing. Um, but I think sometimes, maybe even a stronger or more profound method could tap into the subconscious too, and maybe that's what the hypnotherapy does.
Yes,
Um,
exactly. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
they both tap NLP. All of it really taps into the subconscious mind. With
right.
Reiki, it's a bit more gentle and it takes a little bit longer.
Oh,
With NLP and hypnotherapy, it's more immediate. And so we're really
yeah.
working with both the conscious and subconscious mind. And I love being able to combine all three. Um, it's just depending on what the client wants, and just honestly, a lot of my work is intuitive. No session is the same. And so it's really about listening to the client, what they want, what their intentions are. And if they're open to using all three, then I use all three. And it's just beautiful. It's this beautiful dance. It's Gosh, I think 100% of the time, I can't think of a single person after a session saying, I don't feel that this worked." But 100% of the time, people say, or maybe I shouldn't say 100% of the time, but most of the time, people will report, "I feel lighter. I
Yeah.
feel lighter." After, even if it's just a Reiki session, but especially when we combine all three, it's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel lighter. I feel great. Now, I will be honest about this. Some people do report feeling tired, extremely tired after a session. And some people reach a threshold where after the session, I have them journal to integrate, because
Right.
research shows that when we journal, then we're involving the both hemispheres, and
Yep.
one side of the brain is responsible for emotions, the other side of the brain is responsible for logic. And so writing and journaling can marry the two and help process and really integrate the work. But sometimes we don't even get to that stage with my clients, because they've done such intense work during the session that they're like, okay, I need to take a couple of steps back. I'm really tired. I'm really fatigued. And that's also a good thing, right? Feeling light
Oh,
and fluffy afterwards and excited is good. But also when you're like, whoa, that I've had enough. I'm super exhausted. and then people just knock out like immediately after because they've done such intense amount of work. They've released years, decades, sometimes even centuries of emotions, because science shows that emotions do get passed down from generation to generation. And sometimes in my
Yep.
hypnotherapy work, we go 8, 15, 20 generations back. It's intense. It's beautiful. It's just,
That is.
I mean, I love what I do. I'm always in awe of like the places the subconscious mind will take my clients. And so can you imagine dealing with releasing stuff that you've been holding on to since you were 6 years old?
Right.
I mean, you're exhausted afterwards. It's like, it's a lot for the body to handle. And so, yeah, sometimes they experience this beautiful lightness, and sometimes they experience like all of these emotions still leaving the body. So, an
Yeah.
important part of, so this is where diet and nutrition also play a huge role. So, I always tell my clients, after a session, I need you to take it easy and I
Mm.
need you to eat healthy. And if you can fast, please fast, because that's going to help your body continue to process and release. And if you cannot fast, at least, wait as long as you can. If you can wait an hour after session, 2, 3, wait. Just listen to your body, of course, right? Listen to your body. And if you cannot fast, if you're going to eat afterwards, please, please, for the love of God, eat something healthy. Eat something that's going to nourish your body, because that's going to help you process. That's going to help you integrate. And it's not just feelings, but there's science behind it. When we eat, and of course, I don't have to preach to you, right? But science shows that when we eat junk food, it spikes our glucose levels. And when our glucose levels spikes, then there's a crash. And then when there's a crash, there's extreme emotions. There's cortisol that just goes rampant. There's fatigue, and you can just spiral. And if you're already in a space, if you're already in a vulnerable space, which most people are after a session, then it can get worse, and you can regress a little bit. And have had some
Right.
clients regress after, like, go and have sugary stuff or go and drink after a session, and then they're in bed the next day because the body took a huge toll on the body. It takes a huge toll on the body to do this beautiful inner work, and then you eat junk. It's 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 counterproductive.
You kind of like answered my next question as well, because what I was going to say is that, as a health coach, I primarily help people with fasting and then like their lifestyle in between fasting and just how to integrate fasting into their lifestyle and stuff. And during that process, it's kind of like a never-ending journey, and they're going to have their ups and downs when it comes to like detox symptoms. And sometimes they experience that lightness you were talking about, and sometimes they're like, "Oh man, my body's detoxing something crazy right now," and I've been through it all, and I've even kind of regressed a little bit after a fast from maybe refeeding too quickly and stuff like that, and you kind of have to like get back on the horse. And you're like, okay, I learned my lesson and things like that. But you really do you start to, and this ties back to what we were saying before, Isabella, as well, is because you have to, these are powerful modalities that we're talking about here. The NLP, the Reiki, hypnotherapy, fasting. These are some of the most powerful ways to, get into the subconscious, to get into the body, to get into all aspects of our being, all layers of our being, and really start to make changes. But it's very wise to respect these methodologies. And would you say that you need to be, well, not like you need to be, but that it would be good for you to like just take it easy on yourself. Like if you feel those things and not be too judgmental or too harsh or try to push it and just allow kind of yourself to rest and relax if you need to.
Exactly. Absolutely. That is why, with my work, I tell my clients, schedule our session on a day that you can take it easy afterwards, where
Yeah.
you can intentionally practice self care, where you can sleep, because and of course eat well, go outside, hug a tree, walk barefoot, drink water, drink your electrolytes. You got to replenish because we are electrical beings. When we process through emotions, our magnesium and our potassium is going to deplete, our salt levels are going to deplete. So replenish your electrolytes, whatever that means for you, coconut water or an actual little electrolyte little package. And take it easy because that's going to help you process. That's going to remind your nervous system that you are safe. And
Yeah.
so yes, take it easy. That's very important. And so and don't judge. Don't judge your emotions. Emotions may come up. Pain may come up. You may cry, you may laugh. Um Emotions are normal. You are a human being. There's stuff that is leaving your body. Just like when you work out and you work out really hard and you're in pain. Well, that's your body doing the work, right? That's what I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like I view it as that's your body. That's you releasing toxins potentially that were trapped somewhere. That's you exercising new muscles, stimulating, and sometimes from that comes a little bit of pain. So yeah, absolutely. Take it easy. And so also I share the research behind curiosity. It's like, okay, some people, when you tell them observe your emotions, eh, don't really know what that means. Like, well, what do you mean observe my emotions? Especially when you're already in an altered emotional state. We know research shows that when we're in fight flight, when we're in emotional state, our that affects our amygdala. Our amygdala fires, right? It gets
Okay.
inflamed. And when that fires, it affects our prefrontal cortex. And our prefrontal cortex is responsible for decision making, logic. And so when you're already in that state, your mind can't think, "Oh, observe your emotions." Right? You're
Yeah.
already worked up. It's already sent signals to the frontal cortex to shut down. So there's no reasoning, there's no logic. So we talk about planning ahead and staying curious during the whole process because curiosity, when we stay curious, research shows that it doesn't send the signals to the amygdala to
Mm.
shut down, fight, flight, fawn, shut down. What is it? Fight, flight, fawn, and oh my gosh, I'm missing one. I know it.
Freeze?
Huh?
Is it
It's
free?
freeze. Yeah, freeze, freeze. Fight, flight, fawn, freeze. There you go. Yeah, shut down. So yeah, observe your emotions. Stay curious about your emotions. Oh, I am I am feeling I'm feeling a lot of anger. I'm feeling more anger than I've ever felt. I'm really curious. I actually had a session recently and just anger came up. Ton of anger came
Mm.
up towards a person that I normally don't feel anger towards. Worked on some childhood stuff. And I thought, my initial reaction was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to do another session and I'm going to schedule it. And I remember reaching out, I was like, okay, we're going to need another session for this because apparently this stuff came up. And, and then I brought myself back to, just stay curious, just observe your emotions, stay curious as to why that's coming up. And then just like that, after a few hours, it was gone. And now it's like, I think of this person and there's nothing there. It was just a temporary flare up. Just like when we work out, right? We have a temporary
Yeah.
flare up and we need to like rest and take it easy so that it can dissipate. Yeah.
100% agree on that. And that's just, it's such a cool way of being the observer. And it's kind of like, because sometimes, and again, it goes back to NLP. Like everything is NLP. That's what I'm realizing in this
Yeah.
conversation,
Everything is
because it's like
NLP.
when I say, be the observer, to some people that's like an abstract concept. But if you're just saying stay curious, it puts you in that detached position to where then you can be the observer. So just a simple language trick like you were talking about earlier, where it's not a compliment, it's an acknowledgement. you know I think curiosity really helps you to stay calm, be the observer, detach, and like you said, oh man, that feels like a lot of anger. It's like streaming through me right now, or a lot of like jealousy or hate or whatever. And we're only human beings. We all have like these little things that pop up, and just being easy on yourself and staying curious, and then just as you detach, it's almost like it like you were saying earlier, that charge is dissipated from that feeling, and then now you're in that parasympathetic chill mode, rather than the fight, flight, fawn, freeze mode of the sympathetic nervous system. And so I really wanted to pick your brain a little bit more on the hypnotherapy side of your business as we're wrapping up here. And so, like, man, I know that's a huge topic, and I could probably talk to you for like hours and hours and hours on hypnotherapy. But um, is it that not everyone can be hypnotized? I've heard that. I've heard only a
Mhm.
certain percentage can be hypnotized. Is there a way to like relax a person if they're kind of resistant to that, to make them more open to hypnotizing? And then are they asleep? Are they in like a delta wave, a gamma wave? Like, can you just kind of give us a kind of a rundown of what happens during a hypnosis session, and then what type of amazing things could be uncovered?
Right, right. Well, I believe that we're always hypnotized. We're
Ooh,
always in a state of, we're always hypnotized in some way or another. And hypnosis, it's it's really not that complex. It's not as complex as people make it out to be. And I think that what we see in Hollywood and like these stage hypnosis sessions,
mm,
I think that's what's caused a little bit of confusion. I get clients who ask me, "Well, you're not going to control me, right? Like, you're not going to make me like cloak like a chicken, or you're not going to make me do something that I don't want to do." And it's a legit question because we have been hypnotized to think that
mm,
hypnosis is XYZ. But we're always in a state of, we're always hypnotized. When we're driving, especially the last 3 minutes before we get home, we're in a state of hypnosis. I don't know if this has happened to you, but I know that I've been driving in like the last couple of minutes. I'm like, oh, wait, I didn't even, like, it was just so automatic.
yeah,
I just got here because it's so automatic. Your brain already knows how to get to your home. And so you're
yeah,
hypnotized the last few minutes. When we go to a movie, we're so present, we're hypnotized. When we go to a concert, we're so present, we're hypnotized. When we watch a horror movie, especially, we're hypnotized. The brain doesn't know what's real and what isn't, and anything with like intense emotions, our brain is registering it as that's happening to me. And so you're in a state of hypnosis. Um, and so for my clients, really the simplest way to explain hypnosis is you're just present. You're just here in your body. Um, and just by being here in your body, you're in a state of hypnosis. Because when you're in your body, your nervous system feels safe, and your waves, you enter different wavelengths. So for my clients, what I do is I do an induction, a very brief induction. And part of that is breath, right? Because breath helps us come into our body and be present. So it's just a really quick 5 to 10 minutes. It depends on the person. Some people just need 5 minutes to enter a state of relaxation, and some people need 20 minutes. So it's really assessing where the person is. And I even ask for feedback like, hey, was the induction too short or too long for you last time? And they'll give me feedback. I love feedback. They're like, yeah, it was a little too long. I was already out with, I was already there like halfway through. So it's just being present in your body, a
Mhm.
few breaths, and then I just walk you through just like relax your forehead, relax your eyes, relax your shoulders, and then we go down some steps. That's just very common in hypnotherapy. It helps your subconscious act. It helps the brain go into the subconscious mind and go into the alpha waves.
Okay.
Um, and once the person is relaxed, then we go into the actual session. The person is awake, they're alert, th- and and everybody responds to differently. Some people go a little deeper than others. It really depends on you and the intention that you set and how much resistance you have. If I get a client that says, oh, I'm not, you won't be able to hypnotize me, um, um, then I won't be able to hypnotize them because you're in full control. You get to decide. I've never had that happen to me, but I probably wouldn't work with somebody that doesn't believe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I would. Maybe I would challenge them a little bit. But it really has to come from you. You have to be ready for this work. This is such deep, intense, beautiful work that you have to be ready. I'm not here to convince you that you should do this. I'm not here to convince you that hypnotherapy is real. You've got to want it because then you're not going to benefit from it as much, right? And going back to people are sacred, money is sacred, time is sacred. If you're not ready, you're not ready. Sorry, I'm kind of going a little off tangent, but um, I always ask people on a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you to do this work? And so, and I'll go back to your question. Um, and when some people say 5, my answer, my response is, well, what's the gap between 5 and 10? There's
Mm.
usually there's resistance there. Where is the resistance? And we'll talk about the resistance and we'll reframe it. Or I will say, come back when you're ready because this work is so intense that you've got to be 100%. And if you're just kind of so ready, then you are going to see some benefits, but you won't see you won't see as much growth as if you were 10 ready. All right.
Yeah.
So save your money, come back when you're ready. Back to the question, which my ADD brain's already forgotten.
No, I love that. The readiness is so key.
Yeah, my ADD brain, hey. And you know
I
what?
think I'm there with you. I'm following like the
Yeah.
multiple trains. Like I'm like we are on the same wavelength for sure.
And speaking of even reframing, even with that, with my ADD diagnosis, I'm like, okay, yes, I do have a diagnosis, a couple of diagnoses. Like, I guess there's 2 forms of ADD. I have both of them. But how can I reframe that experience and how can I use it to my advantage? And how do I, continue to move forward, even though my brain is all over the place? Anyhow, and there's advantages. So I've legit looked up advantages to ADD. What are some of the benefits of ADD? How can I use this um, to continue to grow? Okay, anyhow, my ADD brain has already gone into like 2 other topics over here. So the question was, remind me, please.
Well, you were hypnotizing someone and you were calming them down and like you have
Mhm.
like a beautiful tone of voice too, by the way. And like I just have felt like the ASMR tingles, this whole
Oh,
conversation and the like I can feel my scalp and my arms and I just feel so relaxed. So I can just only imagine how safe and supported that your clients and patients must feel. You just have a great presence, warm energy. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you were talking somebody down, you were hypnotizing them, they were comfortable laying down, and then they started to relax and they were walking down the stairs. And I love how walking down the stairs it's like almost symbolic or something of going deeper or getting into the subconscious. So then, like, what starts to happen at that point?
Right. Oh, so then we finally get to step 1, step 0. And usually at that point, they're in a deep state of hypnosis. We have accessed the subconscious mind. We have bypassed the critical factor. And we're no longer in the conscious mind. We're in the subconscious mind, where research shows that that's where real change happens if we want to change anything. So let's say that my client and I are working on recently I had a client who wanted to work on his presentation skills. And so let's use that as an example. Um, Take him to step 0. We're there. And we ask the subconscious mind, are you ready to release the fear of, um, what is the word? The fear of being in front of people, public speaking. That's what it was. The fear of public speaking. And so then the subconscious mind gets to decide, yes, I'm ready. No, I'm ready. No, I'm not. And sometimes the subconscious mind says, no, I'm not ready.
Oh,
And so at that point, it's working with it. It's like, okay, well, that's okay. You don't have to be ready right now. That's okay. I know you have your resistance. You're trying to keep this individual safe, and I get that. But let's talk about the benefits of releasing this fear. And so through conversation, I'm able to help them move from like, I'm not ready, or I'm not sure if I'm ready, to I'm ready. And sometimes they're like, yeah, I'm ready, but I'm only like 90% ready. And so we look at what's that gap. What is stopping you? So it's a process sometimes. Sometimes it's immediate. Yes, I'm ready. Sometimes it's nah, maybe not. And then we go to the root cause of where did that start? That fear of public speaking. And so we'll ask the subconscious mind, what did it happen? Did it start before birth? During pregnancy, when your mother was pregnant with you, or did it happen after birth? Because it's impressive how far it can go. Um, and so, yeah, maybe it was in the womb. Maybe something happened in the womb. Maybe something happened when you were 2 years old and you heard something. Or maybe it was something, you're 5 years old, whatever. We go to the root. For this
right.
individual, there are multiple spaces. There are multiple reasons why he has fear of public speaking. But we want to get to the root because we want to, pull it from the roots, right?
Yep.
And so then we just allow the subconscious mind to lead us. What is the root cause? Maybe it was, like I said, when they were 2 years old. Maybe it was in the womb. Maybe it was passed down genetically. Maybe it was 8 generations back. Maybe it was a past life, because I also work with past lives. I've been working with past lives for the last 10 years, and there's plenty of qualitative and quantitative data that shows that reincarnation is real. And so
Yes.
it's fascinating. I just love this work because I never know where the subconscious mind is going to take the individual. It can be a past life. It could have started in a past life, and that's stored in our subconscious. It's stored in our body. It could have been 15 generations back. It could have been when you were in the womb, or it could have been when you were a child. And so we go to that space. At that point, the images will start. I guide you through like a past life. I guide you through a regression.
Yeah.
And so then I'll ask, okay, let's go to the root cause. Allow the images to come into your mind. Allow any emotions, anything to come in. So then they get to see the experience. They get to see the root cause. Some people get to see themselves in the womb. Some people get to see
Man.
themselves, when they were 1 year, when they were one. The conscious mind, the person doesn't remember this, but the subconscious keeps track of everything. The subconscious has memories from 50 generations ago. And so my clients get to see an ancestor, get to experience that. And it sounds so woo. It sounds crazy. It sounds unbelievable. They go and they see the experience. And usually, of course, it's a negative experience because it's negative emotions trapped. They see the experience and then I help them reframe it. I'm like, okay, well, what did you learn from this experience? What can you take from this? And from there, we come up with affirmations. I will,
Okay. Okay.
during the entire session, I'm typing everything out, and I usually will collect a good at least 4 pages of information that I later share with my client. And so in
Nice.
that, I recorded affirmations. They will tell me what wisdom or learnings they took from it. Then we turn those into affirmations. And then they get to use those affirmations later on to continue to reprogram their mind. So this example that I was using for this individual, fear of public speaking, he went to the root cause. I don't remember exactly what it was for this particular client, but let's say that it was when he was 2 years old, something happened, et cetera, et cetera. We went there, dissected it, reframed it. Then we asked the subconscious mind to create a timeline starting from the root cause all the way to now and to release the emotions associated with public speaking. And then
Mm-hmm.
ta-da, it's magic. It
Man.
happens like that. That's usually my sessions are usually about 2 hours, the whole process.
Mm.
With this individual, he just needed 2 sessions. We did 1 NLP session and then and I told him, we're going to do an NLP session. You might be done after this one. It's up to you how fast you want to let this shit go, right? It's up to you how much money you want to save. So you talk to your subconscious mind, you talk to your body and say, hey, let it go because I want to save some money. But in
Right.
this case, it was just 2. He did an NLP session and then we did a hypnotherapy session. Boom, done. His fear of public speaking. And so I had him look out for evidence. Look out for evidence even before he did his public speaking. So he would report back and say things like, and I'm paraphrasing here, oh, well, there's another project coming up. And normally I get really tense and I get butterflies in my stomach. But this time I was actually a little excited about hearing about this project. I'm like, boom, there we go. Let's hold on to that feeling. Let's hold on to that thought and let's celebrate it. Thank your body for releasing it. Thank your body for being in a completely different space. Whereas before you used to get really nervous about it, used to get butterflies. And now there's a little bit of excitement, maybe a little bit of nervousness still, which is normal, but the needle has moved forward. Let's celebrate that. And then I celebrate them. I encourage my clients to message me anytime. I don't care what time it is. If you have a celebration, message me because I want to celebrate with you. Because I feel that does amplify the energy,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And that's a whole session. We go to the root cause, whatever it may be. And it's helpful that I do have some past life experience. And it's just so nice how everything has like worked. I never thought, when I became interested in past lives over 10 years ago, it was just pure, just curiosity and interest. I never thought that 10 years down the line, it would be part of my practice. And it's beautiful the way the universe works.
It is so beautiful. And man, I'm gonna have to schedule my appointment pretty soon here, Dr. Isabella, because this is
Yeah, it's
sounding absolutely incredible. And I just you know, as somebody, I'm very physical with the training and the yoga and now the fasting and the diet and things like that. But what's crazy is what happens during a fast especially, or intense exercise or things like that. You're present and you're typically in that curious observer state, and things come up, and you're not in a situation where you can, especially during a fast, where you can distract yourself from them, like with food is what, I would typically do, what a lot of people do. And so it's like, then, like, okay, the body's releasing that energy, like you're talking about, like it's a spiritual, mental, emotional detox, as well as a physical detox. When you're going through these sessions, it's literally, you lose electrolytes and you feel tired. And it's very similar to fasting. And I think that these tools that you've shared with us today can really help the audience. It's definitely helped me to have some tools in their toolbox, to feel empowered, and feel as though that they're not alone, and also to have that permission to celebrate when they have those observations,
Yes.
that they can see that needle moving. And it's like, man, the I probably say this too much, but I already can't wait to edit this episode because I get to watch my episodes again,
Yay.
and so it just helps it sink in. I'm like the luckiest man ever because I get to learn from such beautiful, amazing people. So, I just, again, I want to thank you so much for being here and sharing your love, sharing your light with everyone, with myself. And so, you are on Instagram. That's how we talk, and that's how we connected. So, I'll make sure that your link is below, but share with the audience, how they can get in touch with you, and any last closing remarks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. This conversation has been so much fun. I appreciate you. I'm really looking forward to seeing the little clips.
Me too.
Yeah, this is only my second interview, so I'm just a little nervous, but that's okay because we move through it. Because emotions are normal, so normal. I always remind my clients of that, and I do my best to remind myself of that too. Um, yeah, super excited. People can reach me at Dr. Holistic Wellness, Dr. Holistic Wellness. And so I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok. Um, yeah, yeah, I'd love
All
to
right,
hear.
perfect.
I'd love to connect.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, those links will be in the show notes below. Dr. Isabella, great job. I can't believe that's only your second interview. You totally just gave us a beautiful tapestry of your work. And yeah, I'll definitely be in touch with you online. I'm sure that I'm going to have a million more questions to pick your brain on. And you guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Fasting Lifestyle Podcast. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed this one. And until next time, we will talk soon. Peace.